I'm here with Karina and Stuart of Ann Arbor, Vermont. Can you please tell us a little about yourselves and your home?
Sure. We've been married for about 23 years, and during those years, we've been coming to Vermont, and we really love Vermont. So 6 years ago, we decided to build our home here, and we decided that we wanted to make it as environmentally sustainable as we possibly could.
Was there a specific event in your life that caused you to become interested in the environment and trying to protect it?
For me, I've just always been involved. I've lived in the woods, always came to Vermont, been outside, work outside. So to me, outside is very important, and protecting it is crucial.
How about you, Karina?
Well, I grew up in an inner city surrounded by concrete, and as a child longed for woods, grass, and trees, and so became an environmentalist at a very young age.
Yeah, we know we found that up here. Do you think it's important for Vermont to reduce its energy dependency on non-renewable resources?
Yeah, I think it's crucial. I think it's crucial that everybody reduces dependency on non-renewables.
Why?
Variety of reasons. I would say that there is security reasons. There are absolutely environmental reasons, as we destroy the atmosphere and contribute to climate change. I guess those are two pretty good reasons, aren't they?
With that in mind, do you think it's the role of the Vermont citizens to try and become less energy dependent in their everyday lives?
Absolutely. Everyone can contribute to less energy
use.
Less energy use. Thank you. It can do simple things such as consolidating all of your errands into one trip. Replacing a CFL, one light bulb to be a CFL is a wonderful and easy thing to do. There are so many things that we can do. Hanging out our laundry, all sorts of different things. It's really actually fun and exciting and challenging all at the same time.
So it seems that you've taken it upon yourself to help reduce the Vermont dependency on fossil fuels. What kind of specific things are you doing, and do you think they can be applied to other people's lives?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've all heard about basic things that Karina mentioned. Certainly, changing light bulbs. Lighting generally is the biggest user of electricity. Conservation, which is another thing, consolidating your errands, because petroleum products, for the most part, are consumed in the transportation grid. And then there's the whole heating infrastructure and basic stuff like a thermostat. And then you can go up to all kinds of more fancy things about new boilers and geothermal installations, etc. But there is a lot of stuff that people can do and have a very quick and powerful return.
So let's talk a bit more about your home. How did you end up on this mountain? What's called Terrible Mountain?
We bought the land a long time ago, just because we loved the location, knowing that we would possibly build a house on it, and ultimately we did. So the land was just something we fell in love with.
So what's this name Terrible Mountain all about, though? Where does it come from?
Well, Terrible Mountain is named Terrible Mountain because it has two peaks. So when they were naming mountains, the explorers would try to cross this mountain, and they get to one peak and thought that they were finished, and then they realized there was yet another peak to go. So it was a rough crossing over to Weston, so they called it Terrible Mountain.
Is it still so terrible up here?
No, it's awesome up here.
So, when you were going to build the house, what process did you go through? Like, what steps did you take to make it more environmentally sound?
Well, the first step we took was choosing the right architect. So we chose an architect who not only appreciated the aesthetic we were looking for, but he understood that we wanted an environmentally sustainable home, and we would try to do whatever we could to make it so. So he came up with a lot of ideas to make this an environmentally sustainable home, and he integrated our ideas, and so we got a great product.
So what kind of things did you do?
I guess the most important thing was a combination of the siding and the windows.
So what do you mean by the siding?
Siding in terms of how the house is positioned relative to the sun. We take advantage of the sun in two ways. In the wintertime, it provides a significant amount of heat to the house because we have a southern exposure and eastern exposure that just allows the sun to come in, and the sun heats up the slab. It's a poured concrete slab that retains the heat. It just has this, it emits the heat over a long period of time, in fact through much of the night. As well, what the amount of glass does is it enables us never to have to turn a light on during the day. So daytime we actually hardly ever have any lights on, and lights are the significant user of electricity. So, and when we turn them on, they're CFLs. So pretty much those are the two significant things, siding and then glass.
So, but doesn't the glass let a lot of cold air through during the winter?
It does, and we've addressed that two ways. The uppers, you notice there are some windows up above. They are triple glazed. They are not as insulating as a wall, but they are highly insulating. And the amount of heat that comes through far offsets the amount of cold that would come through at night. The other thing that we've done on the lowers is we've got beautiful curtains, but they actually have a dual function. They're very heavy. We draw them at night so that cold air, it acts as another enhancement, another barrier, so it increases the R factor, if you will, significantly.
So I see you have a wood burning stove. Does that offset the rest of the heat, or do you also use fossil fuels to heat the house?
It offsets a significant amount. We do use fossil fuels. We're here probably 60% of the time. When we're not here, we can't build a fire, so there is fossil fuel usage, which is propane.
Okay.
But we have an extremely efficient boiler as well. It's a Baderas boiler, and it is one of the most efficient boilers on the market. So we try to keep our fossil fuel use to a minimum.
And when it burns, our thermostat is only set at 60 degrees. So, and the house gets much, much, much warmer, particularly during the daytime or at night when the fire's going. So we only need that fossil fuel to maintain a very low level of heat.
So for electricity, do you have solar panels or do you do something else to offset your usage?
Yep, we have a 4 kilowatt solar panel array, and it's amazing to watch the dial spin backwards. So solar panels really, we're able to net zero in our electricity use at the end of the year. Solar panels contribute significantly to the energy for this home.
This is our 4 kilowatt solar system. Yep.
Does this feed your entire house?
This provides all the electricity that we use during the year. Now, mind you, we are not here 100% of the time, but for the amount of time that we are here, about 60% of the time, it provides us with all the electricity that we need.
So would this cover enough if you want to do geothermal also, or do you have to make a larger system?
We would have to make a larger system. We calculated that we would need to add about another 4 kilowatts, and we are hoping to add a 4 kilowatt tracker array.
So when I was driving up, I saw that there were still power lines running up here. Are you connected to the grid, or are those just from an old time or something?
No, we are connected to the grid, absolutely. We do not have batteries, so when our panels are not able to provide the energy, we're getting energy from the regular grid. When they're providing an excess of energy, it's feeding back into the grid. So we net out zero at the end of the year.
So this is your Baderas boiler?
This is a Baderas. This is extremely high efficiency. When it burns in the 92 or 93% range. But more importantly, it's a modulating boiler. So it's not just a matter that it burns fuel efficiently when it burns it. It burns only what it needs. So it has an outdoor reset or an outdoor temperature sensor. If it's kind of warm outside, it only puts on a small flame, gives just a little bit of heat. When it's really cold out, it's a higher flame.
Is this something that people can do when they replace their boilers, or do you have to design for it specifically?
You don't need to design for it. If you are in the market to replace a boiler, the best thing that could be done is not to replace that typical old-fashioned boiler with a little Honeywell aquastat, but something that has a little more sophistication in the controls. And there are many available, and there are many available in Vermont.
Now that you look back at the process, is there anything you would have done differently?
I'm not sure there's anything. I mean, it would have been nice to have geothermal from day one, but we are prepared to retrofit to geothermal now that we believe the local infrastructure is in place.
So what's the reason you didn't do geothermal to begin with?
There was really nobody who truly understood it. There was one person who came from the southeast at the time. He was not a local Vermonter. I don't think he really understood what was necessary, so we just decided to sit tight, and now we know that it can be done. It's local. People have done it locally.
Okay. And the house is ready for geothermal?
Yes.
Yes. We didn't want to be the vanguard of geothermal in this area because we weren't full-time in the house. So we felt that if something went wrong, we wouldn't be here to be able to address it. Now that there are local people who understand geothermal who can address any issues, we're going to put it in.
And what we did was, when we had the radiant heat installed, which is the piping that's poured in the concrete floor, we had it done in such a way that it was really optimized for geothermal.
Well, is there anything else you plan to do in the future to become more energy independent? Is there anything else you can do?
Well, we're always looking for what we can do. Maybe a solar oven. Definitely would like to do more gardening, which I feel plays in energy efficiency as well, because we're not going to be driving to a supermarket to get food that is coming from far away. So definitely more gardening, more composting.
But if you take a look at what we talk about with geothermal, right now, what we're ending up using fossil fuel for is propane in the house. That's it. So once we bring in 4 kilowatts and have geothermal, we are completely off the grid, although we are still grid tied.
Yeah, that was my last question to you. You mentioned up on the roof that you were still attached to the grid. Do you ever plan to disconnect from the grid?
No. I mean, it may want to disconnect from us if something crazy happens, but no, we would not disconnect. And I think the beauty of the grid is that that infrastructure is built. It's in the state, it's in the country, and it enables us, and it will hopefully enable other people to put whatever they can of solar energy on their house for just a beautifully distributed solar infrastructure in the state.
So you think being able to attach to the grid is actually making it easier for solar to expand in Vermont?
Absolutely. It does two things. First, it means that a solar installation does not require batteries and storage, so it makes it much less expensive, and it gives the ability, should you actually overproduce, not just to waste that excess production, but to send it back. And then, of course, part of that is that when you're generating power, when you don't need it in the heat of the summer, or in the brightness of the summer, or even in the brightness of a winter day if you're not around, you can send it off to somebody else efficiently and not store it a little bit less efficiently.
So, after doing all this, have you ever received any awards for the work you did and for designing this house in such a way?
Well, actually, it's not really an award, but it's a home energy rating certificate from Efficiency Vermont, and we got 5 stars. I'm very proud. So they came in, they did an assessment of the house, and they awarded us 5 stars. So
Congratulations.
thank you.
Thank you very much for your time and showing us around your house.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Just give me the one.